All right, for those that are just trickling in, we're going to get started shortly, probably the next couple minutes. We're just waiting for everyone to come in into the webinar. Those that are just jumping in, we're going to get started in just a minute from now, right at around 2:01, 2:02 Eastern Standard Time. All right, I see a couple more jumping in. Ron, I'm just going to quickly audio and video check with you. You can see my screen. You can hear me fine, right?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. All right, just a couple more seconds, guys. I see a bunch of people still hopping into the webinar here. For those that have joined, this webinar will be recorded, so we will be sharing it out to anyone who's joined or any of your colleagues that have been signed up through any of the links. We're going to post this on our website as well, so if you have to jump early or if you missed anything and need to go back, we absolutely will have the opportunity to send you the link and you guys can view this online. For those that just joined in as well, we're going to get started in just a couple seconds now. But do know that this is going to be ideally an interactive webinar. We've got a couple polls that are going to be intermittently throughout this presentation to get your feedback. Because for those that have joined this webinar in the past, as we're talking about different innovations that we've created here at Excite, we really want to make sure that we are designing towards you, right, our customers, so that we know exactly what you're looking for in deploying either your commercialization of your products or, of course, your cloudification of your products. And so we're going to have some interactive polls here so you can give some feedback on new features that we have built. But with that, I think we're just about ready to go. It's just 2:02 Eastern Standard Time, and we got a bunch of people that have joined. So thank you, everybody, for, I believe this is now, Ron, what is this, our fourth innovation webinar? I think it is. But really thank you for everyone that's jumping on here to take a listen into all the incredible things that we're designing and developing here at Excite. We started this just a couple quarters ago to give our current customers and have now opened it up to newer customers as well, to give you guys a sneak peek into things that we are working on into the near future and longer term, but also things that we have recently released, especially for those that are working inside of our platform. There's so many things you can do within the Excite platform. We want to make sure you know all of the new buttons and features and widgets that are now at your fingertips to begin launching your cloud and commercializing your hardware. And of course, for new customers, this is a great introduction to Excite to see how fast we continue to develop to give you the greatest features possible in building out your cloud and ideally your hardware as a service business. For those who don't know me, my name is Andrew Gross, and I run our global sales team here at Excite out of our New York City office. And joining me, who's going to be doing a lot of the talking today, is Ron Zaksh, and he's going to be really going through a lot of the different features that we're launching today, working on short-term, long-term, and he is our VP of product.
Right.
But without further ado, let's get started. Quick agenda. I'm going to kick off as I usually do, just talking a little bit about some recent market insights that we've seen by attending some trade shows, working with large consultants, so that you guys can get an understanding of like, where is this design coming from, right? We're not just designing in a vacuum. We are absolutely designing and developing to ensure that we are identifying specific needs in the industry, but also, of course, needs and feedback from yourself. So we're going to start with that one. Then Ron's going to take over, run from there, talk about new features that we have just launched within the platform so that if you are a customer today, you can access these literally tomorrow. And then we're going to go through the new stuff, what's coming soon, short-term, long-term, and then we're going to end up with a couple big tidbits on some company news, maybe some new trade shows that we're going to be attending in the next couple months. So what are these market insights? As I've mentioned on some past these innovation webinars, we do a lot of things as it relates to understanding where the market is headed, not just in the AV world, which is a huge focus of us, but in the intelligent building, in the intelligent workplace, but even actually beyond, as we started to attend new trade shows and work with different consultants from Deloitte and Bain & Company and Accenture, to be able to understand where the hardware as a service and the cloudification of equipment is moving now and into the future. Just recently, we attended ISE in the audiovisual space, Light and Building in the intelligent building space. We have the IoT show that's coming up very shortly that we're going to talk about at the end. And with some of these consultant work, what's come away from these big takeaways are four main things. I'm going to start with the top left. The first one, it sounds like a no-brainer, but it's something that I've noticed very key as I've been going throughout these different trade shows and working with different dealers, integrators, and end customers, is that RMM, remote management and monitoring, is a must-have nowadays in 2024. Now, this may sound like, of course, but it's now become table stakes. I was just talking with a Fortune 100 company and their IT director, and they were telling me how they have actually changed their purchasing decisions to be solely on products that have cloud connectivity. And this is a huge departure from where they were. I mean, this is one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. And what they were telling me was how previously everything was on-prem, got to be locked down, can't be sharing data. But what they recognized was actually the communication of information from these devices that are actually transmitting some very sensitive information is more secure in the cloud than it is in some local server that's just in an IDF closet that somebody can get into. And it actually is a huge eye-opening moment that these large organizations are now buying products based upon their cloud connectivity and the ability to be constantly monitored and managed. And that was a great sign from not just in-room devices, but also in building devices and even outside. We were talking with some even outdoor lighting companies that have started stating that RMM is a must-have. The next thing was around delivering outcomes. And I think this was an interesting one that we had some great conversations with some sensor companies. What we've been learning from the sensor industry, and this is starting to bleed into others, was that the focus on selling the outcome, selling really the solution that the product delivers, rather than simply selling the hardware itself, become a massive focus in marketing and sales. And we're going to talk about how we're supporting that in our product. But if you can think about it, in some of the sensor companies that I was speaking with, the focus was not around selling the physical sensor itself, but the data that the sensor is gathering and distributing, focusing that on what your customer is buying. And now moving not just from buying it, but subscribing to it. And so that whole focus on delivering outcomes instead of simply selling hardware, huge focus, huge shift in the sales and marketing of different devices. On the bottom left here, lighting and heating as a service. And this was super interesting that we saw at the Light and Building trade show in Frankfurt not too long ago, was that lighting as a service and heating as a service was like the #1 topic spoken about at this massive trade show. And it actually makes sense why, if you think about it, because lighting and heating, it's so easily tied to the energy industry, which has been usage-based or subscription-based from its conception, right? You don't buy a bank of energy credits and hope that you use them. No, it's based upon the energy used, your bill at the end of the month. And the lighting and the heating and the cooling or HVAC industry is also now beginning to move in this direction, where you're starting to see lights and controls, heat pumps and cooling systems and thermostats now being sold as a service. And the way that they define as a service is going to be unique for every company. But one of the biggest trends we saw was usage-based pricing, was the ability to measure a telemetry and assign a dollar value to that telemetry and then bill the customer at the end of the month. And now with a lot of the platform features that Ron and his team have built for us, you're going to be easily able to accomplish that within X-Sight if this is a trend that you're looking to support as well. Lastly, supporting the full ecosystem. And this has been probably the biggest, but two major items that came out of this and two very important conversations that I had in our market research. The first one was the ability to support data transfer. Now, when you're talking about the full ecosystem, especially when you're talking to intelligent buildings and intelligent room systems, you're gathering a lot of information about the solutions. And we talk about RMM as the ability to make sure my devices are always working and always online. And a lot of the times you may be thinking, well, in a building, that's just a building management system, right? I'm going to be able to just log into my BMS. I'm going to be able to see if my heat pumps and my lights and my AV systems are working. And that's correct. But supporting the full ecosystem is more than just the data that your customers receive. It's also about the data that you receive as the manufacturer back. And with BMSs and some other, say, network monitoring tools, those typically are completely walled off from you as a manufacturer. So supporting that ecosystem has to also mean gathering the data back. So not just you supporting BMS, but also having your own solution to gather that data and make better decisions on it. And the second and last thing before we get into how we're supporting these four big takeaways was actually from an amazing conversation I had with the global CIO of Intel. And we were talking a lot about the different types of technology that he and his team purchase and implement throughout the different Intel buildings around the world. And these include everything from laptops to data centers to servers, to you name it in terms of an intelligent room or intelligent building delivery mechanism. And one of the big things we were talking about was the annoyance that came down to it, to having to specify ahead of time exactly what they're going to need, say, for a data center on day one. And then on day 365, if that needs to be changed, having to completely rip and replace. But with some of the tools that we are adding within X-Sight and are actually available today, the ability for feature enablement and bundling of software and services, not just on day one, but on day 2, day 3, and day 365, supporting that ecosystem of you and your channel partners and your end customers for finally the ability to not just enable, but potentially purchase and subscribe through your existing channel flow, that existing value chain, is super important to ensuring that you always receive the greatest and most up-to-date solution as possible without having to go in there and change your hardware, while still empowering your channel partners all throughout the chain. So those are the four biggest takeaways that we've seen just in the last quarter alone from different trade shows and engagement with different large consultants. But now what I want to do is I want to move on over to Ron to talk about some of the incredible new features that have just been recently released within the X-Sight platform. So
Hey everyone, so my name is Ran. I'm VP Product at X-Sight. I will take you through some of the latest feature releases, and following that, our plans for the upcoming months. So I think we can stop the the video. So the first one we're going to talk about is the ability to remotely access local web interfaces of your devices through SSH tunneling. This is a new feature that we have recently developed. This enables remote support for devices, therefore reduces truck rolls and improve the customer service SLAs. It's really a breakthrough in the ability to control devices remotely. If we can look at the video, we can see how it's done. So you first select the device from the device overview, then you activate a command to open the management console. That's the command with the relevant credentials. And then after a few seconds, you see the local web interface of the device, and you can operate it through a secure channel like you would do from the local network. This new feature is currently behind the feature flag because you will need to do a small adjustment in your firmware in order to support it from the device side. So if you're interested in implementing SSH channeling, you should contact your CSM. And now we have a quick poll regarding this feature. We want to kind of gauge the interest. So yeah, so I guess you can all see the poll. And we want to know
the poll just turned up right now.
Yeah.
So actually, Ron, while we're getting some answers on this poll, and certainly, Julie or Ron, let us know when the poll answers are all through. This is by far one of my favorite features that we've released within X-Sight, because I can't tell you how many customers and manufacturers that I'm speaking to who, you may currently have your own configuration tool. You may currently have a local on-prem monitoring tool that is super and specifically designed for the products that you have. But the reason you're working with X-Sight is because you want to cloudify all these things, and you want to bring multiple brands, multiple control, the ability for warranties to be managed, and maybe even the commercialization of the cloud into one single pane of glass. So instead of simply either A, throwing out the existing on-prem configurator or monitoring tool that you've already built, or B, simply just not working with us because you had this tool, you finally have the ability to integrate that tool, almost cloudifying your existing on-prem configurator or monitoring tool, and integrating into X-Sight all through this feature. It's groundbreaking. I mean, this is going to open up so many opportunities for manufacturers of literally any device to finally maintain the work and the stuff that you've already built and integrating it into Excite to give you the more holistic experience with everything you've already done on the back end. So I think Ron or Julie, we get all the answers for the poll?
Yep, I think so.
All right.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on. So the next thing we did is basically updated our user authentication service, which now adds new sign-in capabilities and also improved the user experience for signing in. Users can now sign in using social login and also SAML, and soon we'll also add two-factor authentication. This is now the industry standard, and we'll integrating the best of breed within the Excite platform. Let's move on. Another thing that we have done is optimized the flow for managing supported customers. So you or your channel partners can now create customer tenants and manage them on behalf of the end customers, even without the need for an actual end customer to actively use the customer portal. So we have learned that sometimes the end customer are very small or kind of small businesses, which don't really have a dedicated IT person or someone else that actually operates the devices. And they outsource everything to a managed service provider or an integrator or someone else. So we've made their lives easier and allowed them to open a separate tenant for each of these customers without having to include an email of someone else or having anyone else present and actively working on the platform. In addition, you or your channel partner can also co-manage a customer tenant. So if there is someone on the customer tenant that actually wants to log into the platform, you can both be the admins of that tenant. From the support dashboard, in the partner portal or the channel partner portal, you can have direct access to the supported customer tenants without the need to log in again or sign in or do anything besides clicking on a dedicated place. And you also have direct access and deep links into tickets or incidents or individual customer devices.
So I know this kind of may sound small, right? Like it sounds like a almost an administrative update, but actually this can be huge in ensuring that the workflow for your channel partners, which a lot of the times for the manufacturers that have joined us on this webinar, this is maybe the most important reason why you're working with us or want to work with us, is because you want to give better tools to your dealers, to your resellers, for them to leverage your cloud with your customers. And this is just another way for them to create their own tenants, but also monitor and manage their end customers a lot easier, no matter how that customer or the channel partner gets to your cloud, right? And this is also just a general sort of design ethos that we as a company have put a big focus on, and Ron and his team are really working hard to ensuring that any industry, whether it's AV or vehicles or food and beverage or medical, we all have channel partners in our different industries. And as long as we can put more and better tools in their hands when supporting your cloud that you've built on Excite, it's going to be better for all of us, because they are the first line of defense to your customer, your ultimate end customer, and of course, sort of representing your product. And so this is just a small step in ensuring that those workflows and tools all make it easier for your channel partners.
Okay, thanks. Another feature that we have recently released, and we've been asked for some time for some of our customers, is the ability to tailor commands based on the individual devices, meaning the individual implementation and setup for that specific customer. So think, for example, about a device where you have a command that switches between different inputs. So typically you would have input 1, input 2, input 3, but that doesn't say a lot to the actual end user, because they know that input 1 is the CEO room and input 2 would be the boardroom. So now they are able to customize, you're able to customize the command so that it looks at a specific area in your device configuration and takes the names of the inputs from that area in the configuration. So for each individual installation, when you configure the device, you can give names to the different options or different inputs, and then you see the actual setup in your device dashboard, in your command interface, and not just a generic name for each option.
Yeah, it's so cool. I saw this in action with a customer we were working with who makes PDUs, and just the ability to take that information and dynamically update it. It's just such a better user experience to be able to see something like that change. Again, something sounds small, but makes a big difference in the usability of everything.
Another feature that we added is basically an easier way for your end users to track the availability of new device firmware versions. As we have more traction on the platform, we see more and more updated firmware versions for the different models. So we want to make it easier for the users to understand that there's a new version and trigger an update. So in this view, it's quite easy to see whether there's a new firmware available for a device, and you can filter the list and find all the devices that require update, and you can even initiate a bulk update of the firmware for all devices of the same model.
Love this. Another channel tool, right? I've got printers and I have displays and I have AV distribution devices. Able to see all of them in one pane on which ones have out-of-date firmware. Click, update, easy as that.
Another improvement is the Partner Core API. We now include device management actions. So you can manage from the partner side the device lifecycle. You can get a list of devices or get information about an individual device through API. On the e-commerce side, we have done quite a few updates to enhance the e-commerce functionality. So the first thing, last webinar, I think we mentioned the usage-based pricing that we developed. So we enhanced usage-based pricing to also include a base fee. So sellers that are offering usage-based pricing can now establish a base fee that will be charged monthly regardless of the usage. For all the usage-based charges, you have a base plus variable price. In addition, we have enhanced the management of subscriptions. So you can now improve your customer retention by understanding cancellation reasons ahead of time. Sellers can now define can gather cancellation information when a customer chooses to cancel a subscription. And basically, they fill a small questionnaire that asks them to indicate the reason for the desire to cancel. Typically, the cancellation request is done ahead of time. So you as a seller will have the opportunity to learn what is the reason the buyer wants to cancel and contact them ahead of time to try and convince them to stay with you. In addition, you can query the cancellation reasons historically and understand if there's a trend that you want to act on. On the payment side, we've added the ability to better track payment status and the ability for the customer to replace the credit card used for existing subscriptions in case there's a problem with the credit card that was originally used for that transaction.
Yeah, just imagine, like, if for the manufacturers that are on the call, who are even considering this, what it would take to do this in-house manually. I mean, this is something that could take years and so much development time and resources. And our goal as a company is just to give you the ability to click a couple buttons, fill out a couple fields, and you're able to launch this business tomorrow. I love the base fee because this is just such an easier way to even sort of step your foot into the usage-based model, because now you're able to recoup probably some of your BOM costs up front, or especially any cost that may occur if the device isn't being used at all. You're still gaining recurring revenue. So some really nice features there in the e-commerce.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk a bit about future ideas for the upcoming 3 to 6 months. Some of them are actually already at work. So we have a few widgets that we're going to add to the customer portal, the organization overview. So where you have all the types of devices and list of incidents and the map with all the devices. So these widgets will basically be added there to enhance the customer ability to visualize data for managing the device fleet based on the specific setup that they defined in their spaces and the way that they've used the space feature for managing their device. So I'm going to take you one by one and kind of try to explain which widgets are coming up for the end customers. So the first one, which is actually just released, I think a couple of days ago, is a widget that tracks the device incident rate. What does that mean? It shows the percentage of devices that are currently experience incidents, or if you configure it the other way around, the ones which are incident-free, which can give you some indication of what percentage of devices are working as planned. Now, of course, not all incidents are created equal. Some of them do not harm the normal operation of the device. So you do have a switch here to choose what kind of severity level of incidents should be included in this calculation. And this count is across all the different device models that the customer may use. So it's not specific for a device model, but it goes across all the setup and gives you a high-level view of what percentage of devices are working as planned. Now, the next one is more or less the same. It's kind of an aggregation that builds on top of the device incident rate. And that's also actually just released. Similar to devices with incidents widget, we count spaces with or without incidents. So when a customer arranges their devices in spaces, such as an AV room, for example, it makes sense to check if the room is working flawlessly or if any of the devices have an incident in a way that may make that room unavailable. So if spaces are actually arranged in rooms, which corresponds to the physical setup, and we define the correct severity of incidents, this will give a quick view of what percentage of rooms, for example, are operating and available. The next one, again, around incidents, is a widget that will let the customer visualize the age of open incidents and make sure they are addressed on time. So I would imagine that there is a certain SLA during which incidents should be resolved by whomever is responsible for maintaining the setup. So here, the customer can define the different ranges based on what's interesting for them in terms of the SLA that they defined, and see the distribution of open incidents and how many of them fall within each bucket. And it can also be distributed by severity to see where the severe incidents fall.
And Ron, this one is not released yet, right?
No, not yet.
Okay.
It's at works. The next one, device model breakdown, basically provides the customer with a high-level view of the device models that the customer have, kind of what's the distribution of the fleet of devices. And it can be filtered for online devices only or all devices, but just gives you a high-level view on that. And then there's another one that gives you a high-level overview of your devices, this time the distribution into spaces. So I think it's a very colorful, cool view that gives you the kind of the hierarchy of where your devices are and where the majority of devices are, and all the way down to your space tree.
Before we move on quickly, Ron, I just wanted to mention, in general, as someone who works with new and existing manufacturing customers, the development of these customer widgets are really important. And I think it's great to even talk about how this all came about. I mean, we worked directly with one of our manufacturing partners, who in turn worked with one of their direct IT directors and one of their customers who was leveraging their X-Site created cloud, and said to us very plainly, it was like, look, it's great how detailed I can get on a device, but I need to monitor my entire building. I need to understand, on average, where my incidents are happening more often than others. What is the severity? How long have they been open for? Where are the majority of my devices? Like these higher level, but heavier hitting questions that really the more executive decision makers at our customer, right? Our manufacturers, dealers, and end customers, these are the questions that they're asking. And we've always been provided the granular information on the devices, but now we're starting to take that more macro view and giving you as a manufacturer the ability to deploy in your own developed cloud on X-Site this much greater understanding of the overall situation of your spaces and where your devices are being deployed. So really love to see all these new customer widgets, and obviously more to come, right? I think we're constantly upgrading what the view and the user experience looks like when you launch your cloud with us.
Right. Now, what we see here is one of our major efforts in the upcoming quarters. So we want to help you make money of your cloud. We're building new capabilities for you to monetize your cloud using a very simple configuration on the platform with no development on the device side in most cases, unless it's a device-specific feature. You can define paid features and charge your customers for them. So you'll be able to define various SaaS business models like premium, freemium, whatever, everything that you know from using SaaS products yourselves can be defined and can be configured in platform without any development on the device side. And basically tailor these SaaS models to your specific customer needs and use cases. So there are a few examples here on what could be a paid feature. It could be as basic as claiming devices. So the whole cloud is monetized, anything is paid. It could be claiming devices is free, but if you want to manage them using commands, then some or all of these commands could be paid. It could be the premium data or premium commands like firmware updates or usage of SSH tunneling or advanced widgets, state history. These could be premium and paid features, or it could be a device side feature that's going to be paid for, and that will require development on your end because it's something that the device does, which actually already exists in the platform. So we're adding the whole platform side element here, which means that with zero development, you can start making money out of your cloud. We have a couple of surveys here because we want to better understand which use cases for monetization resonate with you mostly. So let's bring up the first one. It's two surveys in one. Great. So first is, what do you think can be charged for? And then how do you want to charge for that based on which element in platform?
So while everyone's getting a chance to answer and read through these, I mean, this is huge, right? And I want to clarify a couple things on here because today you have the ability to quote unquote monetize your cloud, right? And that is always the case. You have had the ability to sell devices through your cloud, sell warranties, sell features. All those things are as part of the X-Site ecosystem. You use our tools, you build a cloud, you build a store, you're able to monetize off it, right? That's our great offering. But where this comes into play here is that bold item here is no development needed on the device side to now monetize your cloud further. I mean, that is enormous. I can tell you with confidence that there is no platform available today in the world that allows you to monetize your homegrown cloud RMM and as a service solution with no development needed on the device side. Like this is actually groundbreaking. And so when this launches, this is now going to finally give our manufacturing customers the ability to really take your cloud to the next level and the opportunity for you guys to recoup your monthly cost and annual cost of working with us. I mean, this is now becoming a revenue generator itself in the cloud, not just for device pull-through, right? Because there's one thing to say, yeah, I'm going to the cloud and offering remote monitoring and management. and moving to as a service because I can sell more hardware. But why not also add a recurring revenue stream by leveraging the cloud itself as a revenue generator and making it so that it adds value to your customer? So your entire cloud itself being that recurring revenue creator is going to change the game. And the fact that no development needed is just unreal when this starts to launch within X-Sight. So very looking forward to this. Julie, Ron, did we get all the answers on the poll?
Yep, I think we're good. Thanks, everyone.
Alrighty. Beautiful.
Great. So the last thing I'm going to mention today in this webinar is basically the fact that we want to make sure that you get the most data out of your device cloud. So we mentioned in the beginning some widgets that we're building for the end customers, surfacing some aggregated data for them and helping them understand what's happening with their device fleet. But we also wanted that for you as manufacturers. And here we're working twofold. So the first one is we want to get as many devices claimed as we can. So we need the end customers to claim their devices and connect them to the cloud. Well, we have integrated an analytics solution within our platform to track all the whereabouts of the end users in platform, and we want to optimize the device claiming flow and increase the percentage of devices that are claimed. This is one of the KPIs that we're tracking. So we want as many devices claimed as possible. And we have some ideas here on how it's going to be done, with adding them to spaces, choosing the spaces, claim another at the end, view the device after claiming, making sure the customer knows what they're doing and what to expect once the device is claimed. Once all these devices are claimed, we're aggregating all this data and we can send it your way. So we do have a device dashboard now in product. We want to invest more time and attention to enhance the device dashboard and get a lot more interesting data to your table from all these claimed devices down the road. So this is also a focus for us in the next 3 to 6 months.
You know, I don't want to make this sound contradictory, but you know, as much as I was so focused on the last slide, you know, saying how incredible it is to be able for you to monetize your cloud, and it's such a value point and driver for revenue for you as a partner of ours. In the same vein, and I think you'll understand where I'm coming from this. I've spoken to a lot of new and existing manufacturers, and who are either working or exploring or using our platform. But they've said that actually the greatest value driver for them alone is just gathering the data. Right? Like, it's great that I get my channel partners and my end customers the ability to take action or buy features and enable things and monitor their devices. But in fact, a lot of the manufacturers that we're talking to, the number one value generator is just visibility, is the ability to see how and where and when their devices are being used, succeeding, failing, you name it. I mean, that data alone is worth its weight in gold. And so being able to get enriched device data dashboards for you as the manufacturer, so that not only can you see it, but take action on all the information that you're receiving, also going to be another game changer. Amazing. Well, thank you, Ron. That was an unbelievable update. I mean, this is just the stuff we've been working on in the last 3 months, which is wild. And more to come, right? Because we're going to be doing this again in the next quarter, obviously, and this entire presentation is going to look drastically different. All the things that we talked about and coming soon is going to be moving up into recently released. And then we're going to be able to showcase to you guys all the new things, from feedback from yourselves, from working with consultants and attending market events, to be able to identify how we continue to build the greatest connected device platform out there so that you as a manufacturer can use those tools and be able to drive value from it. So I just wanted to end with a couple upcoming events that you guys can come and talk and meet with us, potentially myself and Ron and some of our other executive team members, to be able to really hand in hand and in person be able to see a lot of these features and these updates and talk about the roadmap. The most recent one is actually next week. We'll be at Hannover Messe, which is one of the largest industrial and equipment manufacturing trade shows in the world. It's over in Hanover, Germany. I will be there in person with a couple of our sales team members. If any of you that are on the call will be there as well, please do stop by. I'll be speaking at 3 different events throughout the show. Would love to engage with you guys there and talk a little bit about this as well. We will also be at the IoT World Congress in Barcelona, just around a month after Hannover Messe. So again, we're going to send 2 of our team members out there. I personally won't be there, nor will Ron. But if any of you guys will be there, please do stop by our booth. We can talk a little bit about more on the Excite platform there. And then, of course, InfoComm, probably our largest event, biggest investment as a company to support all of our AV manufacturers and intelligent room companies. We'll be in Vegas. We're going to have a nice big booth there. Myself and some of our other executive team members, of course, our sales and product team. We will be there at booth C8263. We're also going to be holding some events there as well during the InfoComm week. So please stop by, and we're going to have a lot of these recent updates and roadmap items to be able to showcase to you in person. And lastly, these webinars. So as you know, we have a series of webinars that are going on, not just on product, but also in thought leadership. I've done a couple of them in the past, if you heard from our CEO, as we have done a couple. Next one, super interesting. I believe I will be joined by this gentleman, Mark Salvani, who is formerly of Signify, who helped launch lighting as a service at that company, and is going to be talking a little bit about the do's and don'ts of taking as a service, putting it in action, and of course, how a platform like ours can ideally make your transition to as a service just that much easier than doing it on your own. So that is it for us today on this quarter's innovation webinar. Julie, Ron, I don't know if you guys can see any of the questions, or do we have any questions from the team before we drop off here and thank everyone for joining us? Julie, Ron, anything you see in the Q&A?
I don't see any questions at the moment. If anyone has any question, please go ahead.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, guys, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Ron, as well, for jumping through all of the amazing updates that have been released and are about to come. And I'm looking forward to the next innovation webinar, joining you again to talk about all the amazing things. But guys, please, for those that are on the webinar and are working with us or about to, or evaluating working with us, please do share your feedback. You know, we don't want to design and develop in a vacuum. We want to hear what matters to you as a company, to your channel partners, to your end customers, and to your entire industry that you're looking to bring more value on. You can see our emails right up here on this slide. If you guys need them to reach out to us, please email us anytime. Of course, you can both find us on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to us on our website. But with that, this will be recorded. It'll be emailed out to you guys. And of course, it'll be available on our website very shortly. Thank you guys so much for joining. And of course, for those that are currently working with us, thank you guys so much for your partnership. Looking forward to designing more and doing this innovation webinar in just a couple months from now. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.